Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. I don't really have a lot of time to waste. I've got about 6 albums to go through, so I'm going to try and go through them as quickly as I possibly can. Does. We begin with Cherrim, and what I think is their first album titled Take It or Leave It. This is a Northern Irish band, consisting entirely of queer people. It's a very LGBTQ, quiltbag band for a shortened term and my preferred term for it. And giving it an A, really just loved this amazing bit of queer style pop punk with really good themes of being non-binary, because I think the lead singer, I think they are non-binary, all the band members I think fall somewhere under the Quiltbag banner. I haven't really looked too much into it, but what I do know is that I really like a lot of the stuff on the album. The riffs are really punchy and a lot of fun. The pacing is really good too. They do try and mix it up a little bit. There's not really much in changes in terms of mood, but the tone is nicely handled. I like the writing about queerness and lost love, and I'm just trying to grow up in that world, and also, point out the hypocrisy of it all. Something we'll get into for an album later in this video. Performances are really charming as well. All three band members are absolutely fantastic, because it is a trio, and it is one of those cases where it sounds like there's more of them than just the three, but they all absolutely fucking knock it out of the park. Production, really clean too. Really good producer. I don't know who they got to do this one, but they did a really good job. Yeah, I think my only problem is that sometimes the structuring doesn't go in as much as I'd like it to. And some of the riffs aren't completely original or unique, but you know what, again, nitpicks, tiny gripes that I try and find because my brain has been going there. That's the entire point of me doing the pros and cons thing whenever I do reviews these days on Discord, but go find it, listen to it. It'll probably cheer you up a little bit. It's just a really good bit of queer pop-punk goodness. Next is Crawlers with what I think is their debut album, The Mess We Seem to Make. This is also a band from the UK, specifically England. An alt-rock sort of outfit. And I'm giving this one a B+. It's sort of like a similar thing with the last Dinner Parties album, where people are just heaping tons of praise onto it. I liked it, not as much as everyone else did. I think my main problem with this might be the pacing, because it's a very long album and it feels very bloated in places, which is a shame because the lyrical content within is mostly really good, really good stuff about toxic relationships and some feminist themes too. I think the performances are solid as well. I think the production is mostly clean. I think it could have benefited from, again, a slightly more organic approach where it's not terrible, and I do like the riff work. I think the guitar work might be my favourite thing about this album besides the lyrics. I do like a lot of the things about the album. I just think it really should have trimmed some of the fat off, because this is it is a bit of a long one, to be honest, especially considering that it doesn't really go to many places, especially after the initial first burst of songs. It does feel like the pace is a bit middling after that point, but you know what, still nicely structured enough, and it does understand what it's doing. I just think, I think the band are going to learn from this, and it's still a really good album, but I don't think it's as good as everyone else is saying it is. I still liked it a lot, though. Next we get to Eric the Architect and his newest album, I think his third solo album, I'm not really sure, titled I've Never Been Here Before, and this gets the lowest grade of the episode, but considering that grade is a B, I would say this is a pretty damn good episode of Music of the Week. As for what this is, it's a really solid rap album with a lot of politically conscious lyrics, not as much as we'll get to in the next entry after this one, but mostly just really nicely handled. Eric has a really good distinct flow. There's some decent guest spots and a surprising lack of them, but the ones that do pop up are quite nice, which is surprising in rap. Eric is a really good performer as well. He's got a really good flow and a distinct drawl to his voice. However, I do feel like he phones it in a little bit and he sort of stays a bit monotone for the most part. He doesn't really sound excited on some of the songs on the album, but he's talking about serious subject matter for the most part, and I do like a lot of the lyrics within it as well. There's really good themes of loss and I couldn't really find much on themes, but I think that was one of them. Production's quite nice as well. I do think the pacing can feel a bit blurred in some areas, but it's not too much of a noticeable thing, and the beats are actually quite nice. I like some of the sort of jazzy elements that are attempted in this. I would just wish they were a bit more prevalent, but still a really solid bit of rap. And speaking of solid rap, next we get to Ghetts with his newest album, On Purpose With Purpose. Ghetts is an artist I've heard about before, never fully listened to. Glad I did. I think this is his fourth album by him. He's also rapping much like Eric the Architect is. Giving this one an A+. Really fucking enjoyed this one. The lyrics on this are amazing, with very societally I don't know if societally is the word, socially conscious lyrics, really good commentary on like the hypocrisy of humanity, you know, with themes about abortion and love handled quite nicely. Gets his own performance, it's fantastic. He writes a damn good multi, he knows how to spit those multis quite well. He's got a really good flow and amazing fucking impact when it counts. Just a really good performer, and again, a lot of really good guest spots. This album is a quite bit long as well, much like Crawler's was, but this album does try and mix up the pacing and actually keeps things interesting for the most part, with especially with what it's about. I liked a lot of the beat work as well, very solid, very punctuated, and really good usage of timing on them, especially from a production standpoint. However, I have one tiny problem with this album, just one tiny problem. And that it's not that there's 16 songs, it's just that there's a bit in the middle of the album where he's just talking about having sex with girls. No joke, one of the songs somewhere in like within the middle of the album is him having sex with twins. Like, why would you just put a sex flex song in there, Gets? Why is that there? Like, you've got all these songs about... Oh man, it was just a weird choice. You got all of these other amazing songs about race, growing up on, you know, in England, the racism you had to deal with, things that women have to deal with on a daily basis. There's a really good fucking song about abortion, which might have been my favourite song of the past week, and it just feels weird to have the sex songs in the middle of all this really good political shit. But you know what? Fucking great album, and could maybe be in the top 30, I don't know, we're still technically in February. Next we have the Infernal Sea with their new album, I think it's their fourth maybe, I don't really keep track, Helfenlich. This is a black metal offering. I forget if this band is from the UK, I don't think they are. I really like this one now, I'm giving it a B+. I thought it was some really solid black metal. It is an album that initially sort of passed through one ear and then at the other, because I didn't really retain a whole lot of it, but then I listened back to it yesterday, before I reviewed it, because, you know, that usually has an impact of what happens. Really liked it. I thought it had some really solid dynamics. It had some decent pacing changes as well, which was initially my first problem. I think my main problem with it, though, is the lyrics, because the band take a very, like, anti-Christianity sort of stance. Like, you know, it feels a bit gimmicky with their occultism. And I get when it comes to black metal, you should, you know, I'm not saying you should. When it comes to black metal, there is specific stereotypes that bands like to stick to, and even in 2024, we haven't fully grown out of them, and I think that's my main sort of issue with the album's lyrics. Like, there is just songs about Satanism and occultism and, like, Christianity and, you know, all this, like, God stuff. It's not bad, it's not badly written, it's even got some good storytelling, but it's a very one-theme album in terms of that. But I like a lot of the other stuff about it. I thought the performances were really good. Instrumentation fantastic, especially the guitar work I quite like. Mostly good production as well, not too overly focused or condensed, just the right amount, handled just correctly enough. And again, the pacing, for an album that doesn't have a lot of songs, it does know how to pad itself out, but without feeling like it's padding, if that makes sense. It just has a really good usage of its timing and executes all that quite well. And finally, we have Job for a Cowboy with their new album, Moonhealer. Now, this is probably like, you know, I always say this when it comes to the episodes, but I think this might be the big sort of group I've covered. I mean, besides Gets, I guess you could say. But yeah, Job for a Cowboy, death metal act, very well known one who I've never listened to, and this is their first album in 10 years. I'm giving this one a B+, and I did like it. I thought the instrumentation was really fucking good. I thought the performances, especially lead vocalist Johnny Davey, who was a man possessed on this album, are fantastic. I liked the structuring for the most part, but again, I think it might be my main sort of issue. You know, production I didn't mind. I thought I actually managed to clean up the sound quite well, even if there was a bit too much going on at times, which feels a bit weird to say, because, you know, riffs fucking amazing, especially the guitar work. Performance is really good. Production mostly quite good. I did think the lyrics were a bit lacking. I couldn't find anything on themes, and there was only one song that I could find anything lyrical about, or anything about lyrics for, and I can't remember a bloody thing about what any of them said. I think it might have been an environmental theme on the song. I don't know. There's also not really a lot of songs, much like with the Infernal Seas album, with Helfenlich, which we just talked about before this. There's also only 8 songs, but, you know, again, mostly quite nicely handled. I do think the pacing suffers a little bit because there's not a lot of breathing room. There was a little bit more on Helfenlich than there is on Moonhealer, but Still really fucking good pacing and just really good instrumentation from a really good death metal band who I should have gotten into sooner. And that'll about do it. So yeah, we'll do the arbitrary ranking system that everyone likes to watch. I'll go with Eric the Architect at the bottom with I've Never Been Here Before, Crawlers with The Mess We Seem to Make, Job for a Cowboy with Moon Healer, The Infernal State with Helfenlick, Cherem with Take It or Leave It, and Get with On Purpose with Purpose. But as always, you should go and listen to all of these and, formulate your own opinions, because that's what makes this shit proper interesting. We also have my favourite song of the last weekend, which was Jonah's Safety from On Purpose with Purpose by Getz. That's the song I was alluding to earlier. Fucking amazing song about the hypocrisy of what people believe when it comes to the thing of abortion. You just fucking go listen to it. It'll break your damn heart, especially if you're a woman who's been through the shit that Getz describes on this song. Jesus Christ. And my favourite album cover is between two. It is between Getz and Cherem's album, because Cherem's is actually quite colourful as well. And I like the cartoony vibe of it, but just because it looks fucking cool, I'll go with Getz's album cover. It's legit straight fucking fire. It just looks badass, and yeah, a really good symbolization of his progression, I guess you could say. But that'll about do it for me. Next thing you'll see me for will probably be a reaction tomorrow. I don't know what I'll be reacting to. I've got a couple of things in mind, but I'm not entirely sure what I'll be reacting to. Probably that Bad Omen song I've been meaning to do, the one that they did with Poppy. So I might do that tomorrow, I'm not entirely sure. Next thing I can guarantee, though, is tomorrow, PBW vs AVW, the Go Home show for War of Attrition, which is going to be next Friday. I can't wait, because I love that pay-per-view format so fucking much. That's going to be a lot of fun. But I'll see you all tomorrow for those two things. Or maybe just the one thing, depending on what happens. As always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye-bye.